Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to our leader luncheon. We are excited to have some amazing presenters. We still have some people coming on. Wait for just a second here. Welcome. Is that everybody?
I'll keep adding them, but go ahead.
Okay, okay. Well, we just want to welcome you to our second to the last leader luncheon. We do have some new things that we are planning for our upcoming month, but I'm not going to share all the details. I'm just going to give you a little taste. You definitely need to be on next week. Do not miss it. Make sure all of your leaders that are participating in this, make sure they get on next week if at all possible. We have some really exciting ideas and some changes that we're going to be making to this call. So that's just a little commercial to wet your whistle. So today we are talking about fundraisers, fall fundraisers, and I know that they are going to be looking a little different than maybe what they have in the past. And I know fundraisers are not something that I have built my business on, and so I'm really excited to learn from, we have Karen Fettis is going to be a panelist, as well as Andrea Connolly and Aspen Calhoun. We are excited to hear from them and their ideas and how they run their fundraisers and how that benefits their business and how they use that to grow their business. So I think I'm going to go first to Andrea, if that's okay. So tell me, just like in a nutshell, like what types of fundraisers do you do?
Okay, well, I'm Andrea Connolly. I have been for 11 years with Cincy, and 10 of those years I've done fundraisers every year. So one of the ones that I do was for a private school, which was fairly a lot easier to get into than a public school. I've done the Cent Circle fundraisers. And I just put together my first virtual fundraiser.
You just put your first virtual one together?
Yes.
Is it for the private school?
No, it is for a small group of cheerleaders.
Okay.
And I'll explain real quick what I did. I went and made just like we did our summer sizzle video, where we each did a little video and then we put it all together. I challenged them to say one thing why they needed to raise funds, and then I'm getting someone to put the video together. And then we're going to post that video into a private fundraiser link where they can invite, you know, their family, their friends, other school things. But I made it fun, and it's all about them. They basically hear from me like at the very beginning, like what I do, something about Cincy, how great the product is. And on the virtual part of it, I also did, usually when I send out a packet, there is a cover sheet in it. So basically I'm doing that cover sheet virtually, you know, like something special about, have you tried our laundry products? You know, something I always spotlight, some sort of product, not just our warmers and wax.
So does this, I love the idea of having all of your little sellers like create, you know, just little snippets of a video that you can then collage and share. That's an amazing idea. Do they have a Facebook page that they're allowing you to share all of this on?
Well, first of all, I put it in a private group, but then they can have a link that they can go to their Facebook page to bring them into that group.
Okay, so you are providing a Facebook group then for them.
Correct.
To, okay.
Correct.
Okay, so let's bring Aspen into the conversation here. Are you doing something similar, Aspen? with your virtual? I know you just came up with an amazing little document about virtual fundraisers, and I loved it. So I'm just curious, did you send that out to your people?
So it can, I mean, the great thing about fundraisers obviously is they can run it any way they want. So you can adapt to the group, just like Andrea did with the cheerleader group. So currently I have a fundraiser going for a soccer team, and it's all virtual because nobody wants to put their nose in something that everyone else has, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than, I gave them the choice. I'm like, okay, do you want one shopping link for the entire group, or would you like a shopping link for each player on the team?
Okay.
And so they actually chose a shopping link for each player so they could make it competitive when it comes to sales. So the team came up with a goal, and then each player plays their part in that. And then as a team, they do competitive. So then, I mean, it gets to where I can say, okay, so top 3 get prizes, and then I post each week and say, okay, this is where we're at. These are our top 3. And so similar, but I mean, you can really adapt to each person. And so then on their link, I have a picture of each player on their shopping link, you know, how we can add. And someone had told me earlier, they've had people in the past do like little videos, and that works well, just like Andrea's doing. And we can put that right on their party link, you know, how we can add videos in there. So
okay,
that makes it kind of fun too, for their relatives or friends to come and say, see their face or the faces of the team.
Yeah. So you're saying if you do separate shopping links for each one, then you can embed the video when you create the shopping link.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So Karen, how long have you been doing fundraisers?
I've been with Sensi almost 12 years, and I did my first fundraiser. I think I'd been a consultant for 2 months. So they've been the heart of my business since, and the coordinator is one of my directors now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And so how, you know, because like I said, I don't do fundraisers. So how did you initially come about finding asking for fundraisers, or how did you?
Well, you know, I just kind of made it part of my elevator story. I made a point of talking about fundraisers at parties. I made a point of talking about it. Now, I mean, those were home parties back then, right? But you can do the same thing in your Facebook party or your Zoom party. At events, we talked about it. You know, nobody left my booth without knowing I offered fundraisers. Hey, do you know a group that would be interested in fundraisers? So
awesome. Same thing for you, Andrea?
Yes, basically, you have to get it out there that you do it, or they're not going to know. They're not going to come up with it. And my very first fundraiser that I did, which I was about 6 or 7 months into Sensi, I just had put, I do fundraisers on a order that I had sent them, and she called immediately and said, when can we get together? And it was a $10,000 fundraiser.
Okay.
By just putting a sticker, I do fundraisers.
Okay.
Ask me about fundraisers.
That's awesome. So how is it, what's the, is there like a magic number for the number of sales that, you know, the seller part of it? Because I know, I mean, it's going to be different for a soccer team than maybe if I just had a downline that got like an entire school district, and she's kind of, you know, her mind is blown. Mine too. I'm like, okay, that's a lot. So Aspen, what best advice would you give somebody who has maybe a much larger group that they're going to be working with? How would you go about setting that up?
So, okay, so I really think, because I've done a lot of different fundraisers with different types of groups, and so the success of any fundraiser depends it depends on us and supplying the information and the tools, but it really, really depends on the group, whoever runs the group, and how successful they want it to be. Because just like when we do a party, it depends on the host to talk to their people. It depends on the coach or the team manager to talk to the team. Because I can say it all day, but they're not going to listen to me. So, I mean, as small or as big as it is, it really just depends on either, with the school thing, the teachers getting on board, the principal getting on board, and really, really putting it in them and saying, here, you need to do this, and here's the tools that we have, and here's what we can do. So I think in this case, size does not matter because it's the same rules. I mean, she comes up with how much she wants to donate, just like you would if you were doing a fundraiser for 5 people.
Karen, what about you? What's your best tips on size and how to manage that?
I too would say size doesn't matter. We've done groups as small. I do a suburban Chicago elementary school student council every year. 32 kids, about 24 participate. And you need to understand, you're going to have about 20-25% at least that don't participate. And you just need to expect that. But that group has sold 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. And I've had groups, of 100 students and that have sold, 10 to 15,000. So it really, you can get large results from a small group. You can also get large results from a large group or small results from a large group. Mm-hmm. So it isn't always what you expect. My advice would be kind of the same. It really does lay in the hands of the organizer. There's a couple things that I do to try and make it easier for my coordinators. And one of them stemmed from something one of my coordinators did a few years back. The year the Chicago Cubs, I'm from suburban Chicago originally, and the year the Cubs won the World Series, that final game went super late, like ridiculously late into the night. And one of my coordinators was kicking off her fundraiser for her group the next morning. And she knew that those parents were not going to come in at 6:30 or 7 a.m. to launch the fundraiser like she did every single year. So she decided to create a YouTube video. And so she just did what she had done in person every year for them and created a 15-minute, this is what's in this packet. Here's how the product works. Let me do a little demo, because in essence, she was kind of like the hostess, even though she was a coordinator. And she'd done the fundraiser enough years that she knew the ins and outs and things that were a problem. And I thought, why am I not doing that? How easy would it be for me to create short snippet videos on different topics that could be trickled within the organization? Have questions about how to fill out the fundraiser packet or just an intro to the fundraiser? No problem. That's really easy to put together. Have other videos that are pretty simple as well on, some people are confused about the diffusers versus the wax products. You can do a 2-minute video where hey, these are our warmers. This is how they work. And they can have all those resources in a Facebook group environment, or the coordinator can send those out in email distribution, that kind of thing. So there's things that you can do, especially in a virtual environment, to make it much easier. So
out of curiosity, as you were talking, I was wondering about the virtual and how what do you do with samples? Are you guys sending out samples? Or does it depend on the type of fundraiser? Like Andrea, I know you mentioned a Scent Circle fundraiser. I mean, that would be easy, because if it's just Scent Circles, then everybody could have a Scent Circle as a sample, right? But if you're doing something more complicated, then do you send samples with a virtual fundraiser?
With the virtual, I do not. I send a description page. Or post a description page on the Facebook page that says like baking scents and descriptions, that sort of thing. And sometimes, most of the time, I'm finding that people that are participating, they know what they want. And then I do a separate page just on new releases, because those are the scents that they don't know. And make sure that you do the descriptions under them. But it's just a post. I love the YouTube video idea. I mean, you could actually smell the new releases and go, oh my gosh, this smells like campfire burning,
Okay, and then same question for you, Aspen, on kind of the samples thing. Are you doing any kind of sample, like for your soccer team? Did they have anything in hand, or is it just
so since the orders are all coming in online, they're not smelling anything at all. Okay. So, and I made sure that everyone has my information for questions, and I made sure all the parents have my information. And really, I think as far as online shopping, people are used to that. And of course they know, like, if they get something that they don't like, and I'm following up with every single customer. And so that's one thing that I think is big when we talk about fundraisers and we think about giving away our commission. It's like, okay, so then what are we gaining? And I talked to even the team manager, and she's like, well, what's in it for you if you're giving us your entire commission? I'm like, but look at all the customers I'm gaining, because we're literally having 10 orders a day or more coming in on my website. Now I have like this lottery of brand new customers, And so
Yeah.
I'm following up with them. So it's not just this one fundraiser sell, it's building your business massively and reaching a mass amount of people that you wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. So it's like a party times 100 because you're reaching, I mean, I've got the team itself has 18 people, but those 18 families are now reaching out to all these people. So essentially it's circles upon circles of people. And so the follow-up becomes one of the most important things we can do. And I throw in, for whatever the organization is, I make a specific insert with a picture of the team or whatever it is to say, hey, thank you so much for supporting the team. We appreciate you. And it's always hand signed. And I send that to every single person that orders, along with whatever I'm doing personally for my business that fall. So it's not just, they may not have smelled anything, but now they're getting a dish soap sample, or they're getting scent stickers, or they're getting a scent circle in the mail for me, but now they're getting other things. So they may have only spent $30 on the fundraiser, but now they're becoming my customer for life, hopefully.
I love that. So how do the follow-up is huge on a fundraiser. So I'd like to ask the same question to both Andrea and Karen and just say, how do you manage that follow-up to make sure that obviously you're not getting the commission up front from it, but how then do you how does your business grow from that?
Yeah, so I think that one of the advantages of the fundraiser obviously is that you can never touch the same number of people that you could with a fundraiser. You will never get your hands on that community otherwise. And it's a large community typically with a fundraiser. It's not just the student, for example, or the athlete. It is, like Aspen said, it's their parents or aunts or uncles or grandparents, all that kind of thing. So it's a wide spider web that you're weaving when you do a fundraiser. Follow-up's important. They go to my customer list. I treat them just like anyone else. I try and do my fundraisers early enough in the fall that they can get the product that they may have bought for a Christmas gift, but even if not, they want to come back and they want to place additional orders for holiday gifts. So the timing of it's important because I want to spread that spider web even further with their purchases. But I should also add, a lot of my fundraisers, even the ones that haven't been virtual in the past, have been distance in the past. I've done the Pepperdine cheerleading team. I've done fundraisers in Northern California, 4-H in Virginia. I've done the Duke rugby team, the Michigan rugby team, you name the group, I've done it, mission trips. Now, and just because the world looks a little different right now doesn't mean those organizations don't still need money. Some of them need money now more than ever. Their costs have gone up, especially with, from an athletic perspective, funding is way down for athletics right now. So don't assume because a school is virtual right now that they don't need a fundraiser. Their PTO may have dried up their funds, adding some of those electronic, things that they needed to make this school virtual. So
Andrea, so to you, that follow-up question.
The follow-up is what it's all about. One of the 3 points that I think are important with that is you have to be very consistent with it year to year to year if you do it every year, because they're expecting that. Like when we had Harvey, the fundraiser that I had done for 8 years, the school said, oh, maybe we shouldn't do one this year. I had 20 or 30 parents call me going, when are we doing our fundraiser? I'm waiting on you for cents. So then I call the school back and I go, the parents are saying, and they were like, wow, let's do it. And it was a few thousand less than what we normally do, but it was still huge for them. And so because I would, in person before the virtual, I bagged everything nicely. I created it to look well. I put it in boxes with each individual order in it for Joe, so Joe had his box with the individual orders, but the parents loved it because everything was so organized. So follow-up was easy because I knew these were all Joe's customers. So when I follow up, I'd say, thank you so much for, Joe's fundraiser, with Grace, that sort of thing. So I made it very individualized to each customer, made them feel just as special as the child that we were doing the fundraiser for.
Awesome.
And the school loved it.
So what is your, I'm going to stick with you, Andrea, for a second. kind of walk me through your time frame once you decide to, you know, you have an organizer that, yes, I'm on board. Like, what's your time frame? How long is it open? What's a good, you know, time frame for a fundraiser?
I'm like Karen. I like to do it very early on before even we have harvest or holiday, because then those are customers for those orders later when you've done the fundraiser early on with school. I leave the fundraiser open even virtually for 2 weeks. That gives them parents 2 pay periods usually. So like from September the 15th to September the 30th, so that's really important, because I find that most of the parents want to do it around a pay period, you know, that they're going to donate, and they buy more. I make sure that I follow up though and do interactive videos. Aspen, I love your idea on some of the virtual things that you do and continue. And like Karen said, the keeping in touch with that coordinator is so important for them to say, hey, did you get your packets? Hey, did you have so-and-so, you know, they'll send emails out for me, the coordinator will, to the different people and that sort of thing, reminding them different things. So between a video and that, but 2 weeks is the norm. And then that gives me 2 weeks to put it together, or 3 weeks, depending on what shipping is looking like. Because if I do a fundraiser from September 15th to the end of September, then I don't guarantee that fundraiser to be to them if I'm delivering till the end of October. Of course, if it's virtual, it's going straight to them as shipping is, you know.
Yeah. So Aspen, same thing for you. Kind of, are you kind of following the same time frames that Andrea's using?
I really talk to the coordinator and see what they want to do, but I do know, like, that's one we're doing right now. We've stretched it out for the entire month. So we started August 1st and we'll run to the end. People will wait to the last minute no matter what, whether you're collecting orders on paper or they have to go online. I mean, it'll be a steady trickle, but then the last week or the last couple days, it'll be, the parent will say, oh, we need fundraiser orders. And I know that because I have kids and I do the same thing. It's the 2 nights before where I'm like, oh, you want to earn the rubber duck or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is what we do. So I know no matter what timeline you do, it's going to be the same thing. The same as when you're scheduling a party, it's going to be, everyone waits till the last minute usually to order. So timeline wise is that the one thing that I've done that I've not done before, since everything is virtual for me this year, is sharing with the group, and really it's whatever platform that group uses. So if they have a Facebook group, get in there with them on that. I know for teams, they use either GroupMe or TeamSnap or those sort of things, and you can jump on those apps with them to share things. One thing I've done this time that I've not done in the past is sharing snippets of, here's what I posted, or here's what you can post. So they can just copy and paste that with some pictures onto their social media or onto their text message or email and share it. So they don't have to come up with, I don't know what to say. I don't know anything about Scentsy. Or you can say something like, hey, here's our goal. And I'll even put in child's name here or player's name here. So all they have to do is put that in there. And I've had several parents say, you know what, that was awesome. Thank you. Because I just copied and pasted it. And I'm like, good, that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So I'm curious how you use your fundraisers for the recruiting side of your business. Karen, let's ask you, is there any type of, special follow-up that you do for recruiting, or have you gotten recruits from fundraisers?
Was that to me?
Yes.
Who was that to? Okay.
Karen.
Yes, almost every fundraiser I've done, I've ended up with a recruit from. Often it's the coordinator, and sometimes the following year, and it's not because they think, oh, I could host this fundraiser the following year. They realize that it's a consumable product and they're shocked at how much people have purchased. And so it's an eye opener for them. You know, they can also do the math on, you know, this is what my commission was, this is what I donated, right? So that's a big eye opener for them. Sometimes it's the organizer, and the following year, they still come back to me year after year after year because it's a conflict of interest for them to offer the fundraiser. But they know that if 32 kids in the school purchase that much, we'll say, for example, There's 4,000 other kids in the school, and there's a whole bunch of other organizations within that school that they could reach out to that might not be a conflict of interest because they're not in charge of that club. So that's one big way. I also have people who have purchased year after year after year from a fundraiser and come back to me when they're looking for a side gig or something else. And that's pretty common too. I've got someone who was from my very first fundraiser that I ever did, and she actually came to me and said, to start with, her son was in college at ASU, Arizona State, and so she said, his frat house really stinks. We need to change that. So that's where it started, and then his girlfriend's really interested in this product, and then they joined. After he graduated, they joined. So you never know where the recruiting is going to come in, but that was based on long-term follow-up and customer service, right? So the only thing I think we haven't touched on really is why fundraisers are unsuccessful. So can I touch on that for 1 minute?
You bet, absolutely.
Okay. I think when I see fundraisers that aren't successful, typically it's because consultants don't do a good job of connecting with the audience that is supportive of the organization. So it's easy with the girls' soccer team. Those girls who are passionate about their sport, and their families are going to purchase, and the girls are doing the work. Same with a band or a cheerleading team or a dance team or whatever. But when people decide that they're going to support organizations that they're passionate about, oh, this animal relief organization is really near and dear to my heart. Well, that's fine, but your customers might not have the same passion for it. So if you want to have a successful fundraiser for that animal rescue, you have to get at the heart of who is passionate about that animal rescue. And that means you have to talk to the coordinator of that animal rescue, and you have to get them to send information out to all their supporters about the fundraiser you're doing. And that's the one place that I see an epic fail with fundraisers. So I always ask when someone says, I did a fundraiser and it wasn't successful. Who was the group? How did you target their audience? And then I actually coach them kind of. And often they haven't marketed it effectively. So.
Fantastic. Great point. Great point. Was there, Andrea, did you want to hop in on that?
I just want to follow up. That is so true. I do their open house with a table with new products on it because that gets them excited about it, but it's all about the follow-up and the excitement of the parents, that sort of thing. If you don't have that and you don't build that morale and keep it going, it's not going to work.
Aspen, you want to hop in? And
I know we're close to time, and it's funny because when I'm in your shoes, I'm like, come on, let's go. But now I'm like, I got one more thing to share. So,
come on.
The only other thing I want to say was really great about opening a link for each individual person or individual team member is that at the end of this, I'm really excited to see, because when it comes to a fundraiser, it's the parents working, or mostly if it's older kids, it's them, but with younger kids, it's usually the parent. So it's going to be really great to see who does well and say, okay, mom or dad, now look how well you did. Are you ready to flip this? And I can flip every single one of them links if I want to. And I mean, it's such a great opportunity. I mean, with one big link, yes, we can flip the one coordinator or whatever, but with a link for every player, that gives me now 18 possible new team members. And not everyone participated, but you get the idea. So, I mean, flipping and it all ties together. So,
yeah, no, that's such a great point. Oh my gosh, I have learned so much. I appreciate you guys sharing. I'm not sure if anyone was monitoring the chat because
the only question I see in the chat is, how are you getting fundraisers? So much is in the air where I am at. I'm not even sure how to get any. Like, a lot of schools and organizations aren't opening.
Anybody want to tackle that question?
So, I mean, it's all, since they're virtual, we have to be too. I mean, that's really it. Or a lot of people or team members will even say to me, well, I don't know anybody, or I don't have kids, or my kids don't do sports, or you really, like Karen said earlier, I mean, she doesn't have a kid at Arizona State. Like, so you have to really just web out. You have to talk to people. You have to, we can't run our business by a Facebook post. It's about people. It's not about posts. So if you're going to post, but tag people that you know, or reach out to people specifically, email specifically. I have a customer that I know her son is really active in Boy Scouts, and I know they're not selling popcorn this year. And, or if you have a friend that their kid does this and you know that they're not doing this certain thing this year, I mean, you really have to think outside the box and make it work for you if you want it to.
Great, great point. Andrea, do you want to?
Well, the YouTube videos that Karen did that talked about it, I think that's so important right now too, to reach out, find out who is needing that money and why they need it, and do a video about it, send it, link it to them, where they can share it with other people also.
I think that's all great ideas, amazing ideas. Thank you. We are over time, so I think we better close that up. Thank you so much. And just for those that got on a little bit late, you are definitely not going to want to miss next week's leadership luncheon. Please get on with us. There's going to be some big changes, some exciting changes happening, and we want to share that with you and with all of your leaders. So make sure you get the word out there. And thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.